Okay, so we're back to Detective D. So hopefully there is no audio skipping because, so when I did my, what is it? My Recording Adventures 3, it was great. Like, there was no audio skipping. So I was praying that there's no audio skipping for this. But it looks like it's pretty good. Anyway. Okay, so we are back with the gosh darn deer on the gosh darn steps. So much has happened. I'm not going to pretend here. So much has gosh darn happened. So we're in the beginning of chapter 1. So something that you missed is that I do have actually no, wait. That's why I didn't pick up the drumstick. Okay, so this is a re-recording because I like messed up. But that's the reason why I didn't know where the gosh darn drumstick was. So it's like I talked to this deer, and the deer told me about, hey, drumming, and then I couldn't figure out what to drum with, and then there's this drumstick right over here. It's like, well, I wasn't insane. Ahem. The song. You. You speak? Flawless deduction, detective. Can you tell me why am I here? The song. You must play the song. I don't understand. What song? Your song. Oh my god, it did just miraculously show up. Did you see that? I did not see that the first time. And I actually do have the solution written down, but I'm not going to cheat. So I am going to do this the hard way. The hard way is a very sad way. Remember, it was started with this. Okay, so 1. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, 4, 5. Nope. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Nope. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes. 6. Nope. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Nope. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Nope. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You only have to play 8 notes. That was the song. Woo! Oh, we can leave now. What a fine tune you play, D. Renji. You know me? It is you that the drum calls. Your song breaks the silence. Who are you? In this place, names are unimportant except your own. So, does that mean your name's important? I mean, it is you, dear. Or is it because we're in Detective D's head? What am I doing here? You are needed. The moment has come for you to show your true self. But time is fading. The wolf is on the move. Calamity is upon the flower and the flesh, the gold and the gate. What calamity? Who's in danger? What can I do? Cross the threshold and protect the lost ones. Break the wolf's spell and save the remaining roses. Now go. Speak no more. Go, before it is too late. Climb the tower and save her. And then the deer just goes out. Okay. I have a bad feeling about this. You know, I think the deer said speak no more, and I think that's the problem here. You spoke. You weren't supposed to say anything, Dee. I think they are ninjas. They are ninjas. They are ninjas. Well, that sounded good. That's the same dream again. No matter how many times I've run up that tower, bloodshed is all that it ever comes from it. And what is the talking deer who seems to speak in riddles? I must not dwell on that now. My new assignment awaits. Okay. Before I go, I should add an entry to my journal about the dream. You know, we can kind of see behind here. You're not hiding too much from us, Dee. Ooh, this jade horse. My lucky jade horse. It was a gift from my father. I take it with me wherever I go. Most of my belongings are in that travel trunk. I didn't have much time to pack my things, but the essentials are in there. The capital city of Chang'an. I am so sorry for the mispronunciation. I am fond of the time I spent here during my imperial examinations. Father served here as an imperial counselor for some years. But despite all that, the city never quite felt like home. A promotion as the magistrate of such an important region will come with a lot of responsibility. I hope I can live up to my father's good name. Me too. Okay. Time to write. Let's look through his journal. We're allowed to look through his journal because we are him. He is us. So we are not doing anything wrong by looking through his journal. Anyway, late spring 689. I solved my first major case in Penglai. At first, confounded, I needed to peel away the onion's many layers to find at its center a simple story. A prideful man murdered by a scorned lover. Yet again, I'm reminded of the fragility of the human heart. But it seems the minister took notice of my work. He spoke of how I would gain favor with the emperor now that I had resurrected the border treaty. He even spoke of greatness. In me. A silly notion, I thought. I'd only done my job, and perhaps had I done it better, Sun Yang would still be alive. She remains in my thoughts, even ever mysterious. Midsummer 689. The emperor is dead. It is the saddest of days. News from the capital arrived this morning. A mysterious illness said to be caused by lingering health issues took hold and never let go. Now, with the outcome of the Korean treaty on hold, his legacy will surely suffer. Generations in my family have served the emperor and his forebears, his royal mandate woven into my own sense of purpose. It is a time of deep reflection, a time of mourning. Late summer 689. I've begun having a very peculiar recurring dream. In it, I find myself on a small boat gliding across the water as if pulled by an invisible force. It eventually brings me to a tiny island populated only by a strange talking deer and a shadowy figure standing atop a great temple. But just as I manage to convince the creature to allow me passage up the tower, I sense a grave danger looming over me. What happens next is unclear. But one thing is certain. No matter how hard I try, I fail to overcome the sinister threat. Late winter 690. The emperor's still grieving wife, Consort Wu, has now broken with tradition and proclaimed herself the empress and rightful ruler of China. There are rumors of her brutal tactics reverberating across the imperial echo chamber. Stories of ruthless reprisals and a secret police force used to silence her opposition. But what am I to believe? Was her rise to power illegitimate, or are these aspersions nothing more than exaggerated hearsay spread by envious detractors? So keep in mind, I don't know if it's clear, and I'm pretty sure it's not. In my first recording adventure, video, I mentioned about how like there's a lot of intrigue when it comes to ruling the country. So it's actually no surprise that there are a lot of people who are like saying, she's bad, she can't run this country, and all this stuff. Because traditionally it is actually the emperor who is supposed to be ruling, right? But then also, this is just what happens when you lose one ruler. Because even if it wasn't her, like, there would still be a fight for the throne. So, like, say he had sons. I think he did have sons, but I'm just gonna go with the general, just a general example here. So, what if he had sons? Well, those sons would be fighting over the throne. Because it's happened before. I actually did some research. Was it on? It was on Unix. So I'm in a Roman course this semester, and I did this reading on Unix, and there was this one particular eunuch in China during the Han Dynasty, I believe. And because of his actions, he got the heir killed and put the heir's younger brother onto the throne and used the younger brother as a puppet ruler. So, yeah, this kind of stuff actually happens. But it doesn't just happen. Doesn't just happen in China. It's like if you really go into the history of Rome, for example, like once you get into the there's different ruling dynasties, and one dynasty is the Severan family. Hardly anyone in the Severan dynasty line. And there are people who are actually not related to the Severan family, but hardly anyone in the Severan era die naturally. Like a lot of them are assassinated. And there's actually, I think, a point in time in the 3rd century. I don't know if it's still considered Severan, but in the 3rd century, like, there's 21 rulers who have ruled Rome in the 3rd century alone. Think about that. That's bad. So yeah, there's always this fight for power. So it's not surprising at all that there's going to be people who are like, she can't rule, she's a monster, blah 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 blah. Anyway, continuing. No doubt, a woman reigning over the empire for the first time will vex the establishment, but the imperial court must survive this turmoil. We must come together for the good of the realm. Early spring 690. 10 months have passed since the Korean ambassador's murder. 8 have gone by since the death of Emperor Gaozong, and another 2 have elapsed since Wu Zetian. I need somebody to correct me. Correct my pronunciation, please. Anyway, we'll just call her Wu. Rose to power. Yet today I received a letter from the Ministry of Justice declaring that I am to become the new investigating magistrate of Chang'an, and that I am required to appear at the capital without delay. It seems the Empress wants to meet me. I think I want to meet her too. Don't make it weird. I arrived in Chang'an last night. I made my way to the Justice Department where I am to stay. A young lieutenant showed me to my new living quarters, but my first night here is marred by the same cryptic dream. I wake with a sense of dread and restlessness. I feel I can ignore it no longer, but what can I do? So far, I do like this game. Game? Okay. Let's go. Let's look at this plant. Fly away, bluebird. Chang'an Tang Dynasty, China. Go back to the plant. I'm trying to look at this plant. A rather frail-looking plant placed by itself in such a large courtyard. Is courtyards large? Maybe it's the dimensions, but... Ooh, steal the hammer. Yes! Nobody's here. Take the gosh darn hammer. It's always great to take somebody's stuff in a game. In a mystery game, no less. Ooh, I love those pillars. Love that design. We found and captured the rebels responsible for the attack on the royal temple. Good. By attacking the sacred temple, they are trying to undermine the symbol of my heavenly mandate. No quarter is to be given to these agitators. Do you think General Zhang? I'm going with Zhang. Zhang may have something to do with the recent disturbances? Zhang is a hardline traditionalist whose opposition against me is as clear as a stake in a barren field. So that's pretty clear, I guess. But I know how to catch snakes like him. Where is Di Renji? He's here, Your Majesty, waiting in the antechamber. Are you sure he can be trusted? This is what I intend to find out. Bring him in. The Empress will see you now. We walk on this wonderful carpet. I really love the design. It's so pretty. Anyway. Welcome, Di Renji. I have been looking forward to meeting you. This humble servant is honored by Your Majesty's reception. I trust you had a chance to rest last night. I understand you left Penglai 3 days ago to undertake the long journey to the capital. Yes, but the road was kind to us. My caravan arrived at the Justice Department just after nightfall. I had sufficient time to settle in for a night's rest. Good. The winds of change are blowing. There is no time to waste. Tell me, Magistrate D, do you know why I called for you at this particular moment? I'm not sure I follow. I thought perhaps you may be wondering why it took so long for your promotion to the capital to be confirmed. After all, that was my husband's wish before his untimely death. When he heard of how you solved the Korean ambassador's murder and rescued his border treaty, he made it very clear he wanted you to serve by his side. If he were still with us today, you would have been resigned to Chang'an long ago. I humbly serve the imperial court where I am needed, Your Majesty. I mourn Emperor Gaozong's death, but it is not in my nature to question my position or rank. It is mine! It is a rare thing to witness true modesty. The truth is, my transition to power was not without some interference. The same kind of meddling and disapproval I've encountered all my life. But I will not tolerate folly for the sake of facile traditionalism. I hope I can count on your loyalty just as my husband did. Oh, by the way, Empress Wu actually did take over China, so just in case somebody was like, feminism! It's like, there have been periods in history where women have actually taken over an empire, or ruled equally beside their husbands. It depends on which culture, because some were more willing than others. Definite example that I would like to bring up, Hatshepsut from ancient Egypt. She didn't actually rule as a queen. She ruled as a pharaoh. So she actually took on the male garb, even wearing a fake beard, to make her seem presentable as pharaoh. But there have been plenty of queens and empresses, and even women who called themselves kings, who ruled. So a woman being in charge here is not feminism. This is actually history, even though this is historical fiction. Although there are a lot of feministic. I can't speak words today, but basically there are a lot of moves to equal rights for women. I'm trying to figure out her name starts with an I. But there's this queen from the Byzantine Empire. So this is the empire that came after the Roman Empire fell. Like, she came into the picture, and she was all about rights for women. She wasn't perfect, though. She caused a massacre. She ordered a massacre of a whole bunch of people. But then it's not any different than quite a bit of kings and emperors, because they did the same thing. Like, definitely, since I brought up Rome was definitely at fault for conquering and crimes against humanity kind of stuff. So it's on one hand, it is a particular person, because there have been leaders who could achieve peace without necessarily fighting. There were periods in China, for example, during the Chinese Empire, in which they actually didn't try to fight. They actually tried to barter and use money to get along with their neighbors. Did it always work? No. And I'm not trying to act like that any empire is peaceful. You don't acquire land without blood. You don't become a powerful empire either without blood. But there are leaders who try to be more peaceful and pacifist. I was trying to find the right word, but I'll just go with pacifist here. Who try to be pacifist and try to promote prosperity, because war costs money. It also costs a lot of destruction, and then you have to fix that destruction. If you win and manage to get the land that you're trying to acquire, now you gotta fix it up. It's much easier to just trade and barter than to try to always fight somebody. But anyway, back to this. I hope I can count on your loyalty just as my husband did. My loyalty is to the law, and I will serve it to the best of my ability, so long as your majesty permits it. I see. And what if the law is unjust? The law does not stand still, and neither should we. Injustice must be confronted head on. Indeed, men can be fools misguided by power and greed. Such vipers are around every corner. In fact, the man that you are replacing, a man whose name deserves no mention in these hallowed halls, was such an offender. A horrid man who routinely abused his power. His worst sin of all was that of incompetence. We can't have that! But enough about the past. You are here because I need someone to succeed where he failed. Dear Renji, I hereby name you the new investigating magistrate of Chang'an. What say you? It will be my privilege to serve the people of Chang'an in the name of the Dragon Throne. Then it is done. Rise now as my chief agent of justice. I mean, he's standing now. You are now the guardian of Chang'an, the jewel of China, finest city in the world. But I'm afraid not all is right in our shining capital. I fear a sickness of doubt and fear is spreading across our streets and homes. The hearts and minds of men are fragile. As the first woman to hold the mandate of heaven, I cannot allow my reign to be crippled by this infection. I must show the naysayers that I can be as strong as any man, even if I must rule with an iron fist. The sickness must be stamped out. Law and order must be swift and unyielding. So, basically, Mama said knock you out. Yeah, I had to throw that reference in there. But, yeah, she's saying, I'm not going to play with you. I will put my steel the bright one that we want to use. I'll use it anyway. My steel cover boot on your gosh darn throat if I have to. That's what she's really saying. And I can appreciate that. We must exercise caution, Your Majesty, as I believe it is the root cause of a sickness that must be treated, not the symptoms. How pragmatic of you, Magistrate D. I suspect even my husband may have underestimated your gift for counsel. Your notions of virtue and balance are sobering, but we are nonetheless responsible for cleaning the streets of the miscreants who would dare undermine our empire. And that is exactly what you shall do. I am at your Majesty's command. Before I relieved him of his duties, your predecessor was working on a case that, shall we say, overwhelmed his limited intellect. Come on, reveal your salt more, Empress Wu. Reveal your salt more. She's like, oh my god, this guy's an idiot! Screaming! In her mind, of course. She has to be composed. Anyway, a young woman by the name of Zhu Linfei was viciously murdered in her own home 9 days ago. A short inquiry ended with the poor woman's blind father detained and charged for the crime. But I sense a grave injustice is being done. Your immediate task is to reopen this investigation and find out the truth behind this heinous crime. And if what you discover should exonerate her father, I would like you to report back to me directly. Yes, of course. Your first lieutenant at the Justice Department can apprise you of further details, but you may ask me any questions you like. About the victim. What can you tell me about the victim? Zhu Linfei met a horrible end. At first strangled to death, her misery did not stop there. After taking her life, the murderer went on to mutilate her, carving out her heart and taking it from her lifeless body. I ask you, what manner of barbarism is that? Pretty ritualistic, actually. Such hatred would suggest the killer may have known the victim, perhaps someone close, someone seeking revenge. Whatever the motive, I want to see this wretched killer captured and punished for what he has done. I will not stand for such depravity. The whole of the country watches my every move. I will not have my mandate tarnished by a deviant. What can you tell me about the accused? Your predecessor believed that the victim's father, Zhu Dan, came to resent his daughter for abandoning him for several years. She eventually returned, but by then his heart had soured and filled with hate, igniting this violent outburst. But your Majesty does not believe this theory. I mean, he is blind. Like, he would first have to kill her, right? But then her heart was carved out. So, unless he's, like, gifted, extraordinarily gifted, that last part definitely should not be able to happen. Not for a second. Setting aside the fact that the father is an old blind man, only a fool could theorize that a woman so obviously devoted to her father could deserve such retribution. Even during all those years away from his side, she made sure to send money for his care. Besides, your predecessor would have sooner forced a square peg into a round hole than do any real police work. She really does not like his predecessor. Does your Majesty have a special interest in this case? Surely, only weeks after your enthronement ceremony, police matters are the least of your concerns. Heck no, they are the top tier. If the police are not doing their job, it's only going to come back to her and being like, she can't even rule this country because she can't control the gosh darn police. That's what they're freaking going to say. Like, she is the leader of the country, and anything that terrible that's happening under her reign is definitely going to be attributed to her, especially since nobody, well, I can't say nobody, but she does have enemies who would love nothing more than have her head chopped off. I did actually look up on Empress Wood's background. She does actually live to an old age and dies, so she doesn't get assassinated, which is a plus. It is hard ruling and not getting assassinated. But anyway, moving on. On the contrary, there is no greater threat to the Empire than the spread of fear and hatred from within. She said it more eloquently and philosophically, but still, same thing I said. Without law and order, this house of cards is but a tremor away from crumbling. Whatever the cost, I will see to it that those seeking to disturb the peace shall never find any of their own. It makes me think that she's actually going to go out into the street and be like, I am going to make you pay. And she just has a sword in her hand and it was like, chop! It just feels like that. It feels like she's going to kill people with her own bare hands. It's like, I will not tolerate your foolishness. But anyway, moving on. I wish to offer my condolences for the passing of Emperor Gaozong. Although I never had the privilege of meeting him, I was an admirer of his reforms. Your sentiment is appreciated, Magistrate D. My husband was indeed a great man. He led our country onto the world stage, and now it is up to us to fulfill that destiny. Now is the time to look to the future. I've told you everything I know. As for what is still unknown, I expect you to uncover it and return the favor. You may speak to Commander Yao if you need any additional assistance. She is my most trusted officer. I was about to say advisor, but officer. Thank you, Your Majesty. She's like, you may rise. He didn't bend down? I guess it's just a... Hold on. Let me look this. At once beautiful and intimidating, she has an air of confidence that is undeniable. So, that means you like her then. Do you like her? Do you like her, Di Renji? Do you like her? But let's get on to the story. I didn't get a chance to introduce myself before. My name is Di Renji. I know who you are. Yes, of course. You must be head of Her Majesty's security force. I am no mere security personnel. I am Yao Mei, commander of the Imperial Guard. I assure you, I meant no offense. I see it in your posture. You carry yourself with the poise of a highly skilled martial artist. I dabbled in the martial arts myself when I was young, though I discovered early that I had no gift for it. But you, on the other hand, must be a very talented and brave warrior. Why else would the Empress put you in charge of her personal safety? Now, I do figure that he is truly saying this from his heart, but at the same time, D, you ain't slick, man. You ain't slick. I suggest you tread carefully, Di Renji. Her Majesty wishes to give you an opportunity to show your allegiance, but I am the one you will have to face if that trust is betrayed. I applaud your diligence, Commander Yao, but my intentions are pure. Are you sure? You sure about that? Are you sure about that? It's like you were both very flattering. I dare say, probably even more so. I mean, I don't know you too well, D, but I'm feeling like that you might have maybe a little bit of a crush on Commander Yao. I'll be the judge of that. What do you want? Do you know anything about the Zhu Linfei case? Only that the man who did it deserves to die 1,000 deaths. The man? You believe the father is guilty? No, that is not what I said. I simply meant that I've never known a woman capable of such brutality. Have you? Well, we haven't seen you kill anybody yet. No, I can't say that I have. What can you tell me about the Empress? Her Majesty is a strong and fearless leader. What she has endured and overcome is a shining example for all of us. But I would think a detective of your stature could easily detect such qualities. That's not really telling us anything, but okay. Tell me about yourself. I have no time for small talk. If you wish to know more about me, I suggest you seek out the answers for yourself, detective. Listen carefully, D. Renji. I do not trust you. I have no reason to trust you. I do not know you, and from my perspective, nor does the Empress. What you do from this moment forward will signal to me whether you truly are a trustworthy ally or an adversary to be dealt with. Your fierce loyalty is commendable, Commander Yao. With time, I do hope I can gain your trust. We're just going to go to the Justice Department, where hopefully someone's not threatening our life. My question is, did that turn D on, or what? It terrified me. I'm terrified. I don't want to be... I don't want to be targeted. But if we don't give her any reason, she won't hurt us. But my thing is D, like, intrigued and, like, seriously, I want to know what his thoughts are. But anyway, Magistrate D, you're back. I'm your first lieutenant, Ma Dawei. We spoke briefly last night when you arrived. I take it you just returned from your visit with the Empress? Or how did it go? Meetings like that make me so nervous. I just start babbling, you know? One moment I'm all quiet, and the next I'm going on and on about heavens knows what. I'm doing it right now, aren't I? I'll shut up now, sir. You don't have to be nervous around me, Ma. I was indeed a bit nervous in Her Majesty's presence, but the meeting was productive. It seems we have a lot of work ahead of us. Certainly, sir. I'm here to help in any way I can. Good. Let's begin with the Zhu Linfei case. I need to know all the details and see the evidence collected so far. Ah, yes, of course. I was hoping we could get another crack at that case, but I'm afraid there isn't much to look at, sir. Everything we have is inside that evidence box. I've laid it out on the desk behind me. It's a shame, really, but Magistrate Liu, he wasn't one for paperwork. Liu? Do you mean Liu Zelen? He was the previous magistrate? I think was it Zelen? But anyway, that's right, sir. You know him? Yes. He was a classmate during my time at the Imperial Academy. Sadly, he was the kind of person who enjoyed preying on the less privileged, a bully through and through. But owing to his father's position as a powerful minister, Zelen's misconduct was routinely ignored, whereas still he was even granted a few shortcuts along the way. But that was many years ago. I haven't seen him since then. And what are the chances that he has changed at all? I also wonder if Empress Wu actually has an idea of who Who killed Zulin Fei, but just wants us to get the evidence? I hate to speak out of turn, but I feel I must. You see, I believe Magistrate Liu was wrong to accuse the victim's father. I believe Zudan is innocent. You needn't worry about speaking your mind. Why do you think he's innocent? Well, it's the way she was killed. It almost seems wicked. Like an evil soul out for blood. Even from my limited contact with him, I just don't think Zudan is capable of that. In that case, you'll be relieved to hear that the Empress herself has requested that we reopen the investigation. Really? That's great news, sir. Say the word and I'm at your disposal. Whatever you need. We'll start with this one. Tell me about yourself, Lieutenant Ma. Everyone calls me Lucky Ma around here, sir. The nickname stuck after I won a few card games with the fellows around the office. In any case, I've been at the station for 2 years now. Before that, I was a police constable in my hometown of Shanwei in Liangnan province. For most of my life, I lived in a small fishing village, so when my transfer request was approved and I was promoted to work here in the capital, it was a dream come true. Your family must have been proud. Yes, my parents were very happy. And my wife, you should have seen her, sir. When I told her we would be living in Chang'an, she nearly shattered my eardrums from sheer excitement. Tell me about the Justice Department. Of course, sir. This Justice Department is the beating heart of all law and order in Chang'an. Since the Empress's enthronement, we have officers patrolling the city at all times. Even the night watchmen report to us. This compound itself serves many purposes, but the east wing, where we currently are, is home to the investigative branch. Directly behind you is the way towards the lockup, and behind me is a hallway that leads to the morgue. Oh, I almost forgot. I hope you found your private quarters to your liking. I asked my wife to help me make it as cozy as possible for you. I'm terrible at that kind of thing. Indeed, the room is quite lovely. Please say thank you to your wife for me. I gather you must have worked for Liu Zeilin for a period. What can you tell me about it? I suppose... Oh, come on, man. Give us the gossip. Give us the deets. Give us the information. No need to be timid, Lieutenant. It is not gossip I am after. I'm after it! I'm only interested in how he performed his duties as an officer of the court. Well, to put it bluntly, Magistrate Liu did not seem to care much about his duties at all, sir. He seemed more interested in his reputation than maintaining law and order. Most of the time, he delegated his work to his subordinates, although I doubt he even knew any of us by name. I shudder to think of the misery he's left in his wake. Hopefully, if Zhu Dan is innocent, we can at least right one of his wrongs. Yes, sir. Tell me more about the crime. Of course, what would you like to know? I guess we'll just go in, Actually, we'll start with this. Who reported the crime? A night watchman was making his rounds in the neighborhood when he saw Zudan running out of his house in a mad panic. Zudan was calling out for help and screaming his daughter's name all at once. After the watchman peered into the house and saw the carnage that had been done, he came directly here to report the crime. The victim, Zulin Fei. What can you tell me about her? We know that she was 21 years old, but not much else. She was a complete loner, had no ties to anyone or anything except her father. Oh, that's great. That's great. When somebody's a complete loner yet knows something's gonna hit the fan. Even her neighbors knew nothing about her, save for the fact that she kept to herself. Did her father have anything to add? He maintains that since her return 2 months ago, she's been his sole caregiver, spending most of her days at home. He also said that several times a week she would visit temples here in the city. That gave me the idea to visit a few of them to ask about her. But the monks who remembered her all said the same thing. She would pray for hours at a time, often mumbling words that no one else could hear or understand. You said she returned 2 months ago. Where was she before that? All we know is that for 5 years she worked as a maidservant for a wealthy family living outside of the city. That does not sound good. Going on. During that time, she sent money back to her father through a messenger, but she never visited him herself. We're holding him in the lockup if you would like to interrogate him. Good to know. What can you tell me about the victim's father, Zudon? Zudon served in the Imperial Army for many years until his wife died in a fire. That same incident cost him his eyesight, but despite that, he managed to take care of his young daughter for many years. But as he grew older and weaker, he became the one who needed care. Why did Liu accuse him? Magistrate Liu believed that Zudon felt betrayed when his daughter went away. He alleged that Zudon had gone mad and killed her in a fit of rage. Did Zudon confess? No, sir. The very opposite, in fact. He strongly denies any wrongdoing. What was the cause of death? Strangulation, sir. But she was also mutilated posthumously. The killer cut her open and took her heart. It turns my stomach just thinking about it. You want to speak to the coroner, Mr. Yao. He'll be able to tell you more about it. What's in the evidence box? We collected 3 pieces of evidence from the crime scene. The first is a broken walking stick which belongs to the father. The second is a rose we found next to the victim's body, clearly left by the killer by the looks of it. Are we doing a serial killer? This is a serial killer, isn't it? Crap, it's a serial killer. I feel it. And the third is a life-size sketch I made of a bloody footprint we found inside the house. A sketch? Yes, sir. I've always had an affinity for drawing, so I've tried to put it to good use from time to time. My wife even thinks I could have made a life as a painter, but I'm pretty sure she's just teasing. I've marked the victim's house on your map, but you'll probably want to speak to Zudon and Coroner Yao before you head out there. I think I have what I need for now. Thank you, Lieutenant. I'm at your disposal, sir. He's so helpful. I like him. Lieutenant Ma's the best. If anything bad happens to Lieutenant Ma, I am rioting. Okay. Ooh, wait, there's an officer over there. Nobody. Okay. Let's just look in the evidence box and let's talk to the officer over there. Rose added to inventory, broken walking stick, and footprint sketch. Thank you. Oh, we can just look at him. He seems hard at work. I shouldn't disturb him. Weapons. Can I take one? Not my weapon of choice. Man, come on! Ruin the fun. Why is he ruining my fun? Medical chisel. Can we steal a chisel? I'm terrible. I know. Shh. Nothing happened. Okay. Talking to this guy. Excuse me. Blast these tiny tools! I lost count again! I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt. I've been trying to do an inventory of the equipment down here all morning, and I've been failing miserably at it. Why in the world do we have so many knives? You must be the coroner. I wanted to introduce myself. My name is Dean Renji. Ah, I'm your chief investigator. Just a young man, aren't you? I suppose if that idiot Liu could do the job, they could just about send any halfwit to run this place and nobody would notice the difference. Well, excuse you. I can see you're nobody's fool, but should you give me the opportunity, I may yet surprise you. You have a little spark in you, don't you? And you have earnest eyes, the look of a man with purpose. I suppose 30 years of staring at the dead has taught me that much. Thank you? Who is this guy? Then I look forward to learning from your experience. Well then, welcome to my office, Magistrate D. I am Yao Kinan. The youngsters like to call me Old Yao. Stupid kids and their nicknames. Is he that grumpy old... Is he the grumpy old man who's like, get off my lawn? I'm feeling like that's what he is. I was hoping I could speak to you about the Zulin Fei case. Ah, poor girl. She's been moved for burial, so you won't find her here. But in all my years doing this job, I never saw anything like it. I've been instructed to reopen the investigation. May I ask you a few questions? Well, you're the boss, aren't you? Ask away. What can you tell me about the victim's wounds and the cause of death? The cause of death was asphyxia by strangulation. Deep ligature marks around her neck suggest that the killer stood behind and slightly above her. No murder weapon was found at the scene, but if I were to venture a guess, I'd say the killer likely used a long piece of cloth to strangle her. Ugh. The victim also had a large laceration on the left side of her chest. Further examination revealed that her heart was surgically removed shortly after she died. Although I wouldn't go as far as saying that this killer possessed the skills of a surgeon, I'm certain we are dealing with someone with a cold and steady hand. Someone who knew what they were doing. Why do you think the killer took her heart? It's hard to say. Perhaps he wanted a souvenir. Or maybe he thought she was heartless and didn't deserve one. Or possibly just because he's a deranged psychopath? We may never know why he did it, but based on the depth of the abrasions on her neck, I wager good money our killer is a man. Was the victim violated sexually? No, I found no evidence of sexual assault. In fact, she had no other bruises or injuries at all, which I found odd. What do you mean by that? Well, usually, in cases of strangulation, we often find some signs of a struggle between the victim and the assailant. Signs such as traces of skin under the fingernails or bruises caused by butt resistance from the victim. But from what I can tell, Zulin Fei did not fight back, so she may have been unconscious. From your previous comments, I take it you and Magistrate Liu did not get along. 30 years I've worked at the Justice Department. Magistrates come and go, and I've seen them all. Some were born enforcers, others born negotiators. A rare few had the gift of detection, while others preferred the path of least resistance. Liu Zelen was in a category of his own, a corrupt yet inept man willing to do anything to advance his career. All of us here knew it, but none of us could prove it. What do you think he was guilty of? Abuse of power, coercion, blackmail, you name it. But someone more powerful than him finally took notice, and now he's history. We can thank the Empress for that. Tell me about yourself, Mr. Yao. I wish there was something to tell. I'm afraid my life isn't much more interesting than that of the patients I examine. But I suppose it's my own fault. Push away your loved ones long enough, and you end up bitter and alone. Or in my case, withering away in the company of decomposing corpses. I want to hug this man. Surely a lifetime in service to the Imperial Court must bring you some satisfaction. It's precisely because of my choice to put duty above family that my grown daughter now wants nothing to do with me. No! 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 I know where this is going! I feel like I know where this is going. I was like, I did not want to assume. I did not want to assume. But I am pretty much assuming here Commander Yao is Mr. Yao's daughter. When her mother passed away a few years ago, I buried myself in my work, thinking I could stuff my sorrows into the ground. I neglected the needs of my grieving daughter, and now, even as she makes her own path in the world, she can barely stand the sight of me. Don't make the same mistakes I did, young magistrate. Hold on to those you cherish. Let them know what they mean to you before it is too late. It's not too late for you to make amends. Speak to your daughter. She will listen. I wish I could be so naive as to believe that, but my time has passed. No matter. At least down here I can perhaps still make a difference. Thank you. I'll be on my way. You know where to find me. Okay, so I'm gonna take this. Yes, I can take it! We're gonna take the medical chisel. Give it to me. I can hear you snooping around back there. This is no time to play games. You can't just pick up whatever isn't nailed to the ground. I'm still doing my inventory. Unless you have a good reason to take that chisel, leave it alone. Screw it! Screw it! Screw it! I don't like him anymore. He got in my way. I want the chisel. Give me the gosh darn chisel. Give me the chisel, man. It's my chisel. He won't let me have the chisel. Yeah, I don't like him no more. He got in my way. Okay, 2 lockup. What? I'd rather not. Torture device. Okay, this game is definitely not for kids. Who goes there? Is that you, Liu? You'll not break me with your threats and beatings. I will never admit to killing my own daughter. Never, you hear me? It is not I. Okay, we'll talk to Zudon. And that will be, I think, it after I'm done talking with him. Calm yourself, Zudon. I am Magistrate D. Renji. D. Renji? What happened to you? Mr. Liu Zilin has been relieved of his duties. I am in charge now. Ha! So they replaced one crooked official with another. I am not your enemy, Mr. Wuzu. Whatever you may think of my predecessor, I am here to find out the truth about your daughter's murder. You mean you'll investigate her case? Yes, Mr. Zhu. And though I do not yet know your involvement in this case, I can promise you this. If you are indeed innocent, you will not sit in this jail a day longer than necessary. I'm sorry for what I said before, but that man Liu, he accused me of killing my own daughter. Despite everything that's happened in my life, I've never felt anger at my own fate. But what was done to Lin Fei? It burns me up inside, knowing that the man who hurt her is still out there. You have to help me, Magistrate D. My daughter deserves justice. Tell me about your daughter. After her mother died, I tried my best to take care of her. We managed, for a while. The Imperial Army kept me around, gave me odd jobs here and there, but eventually they decided they had no use for a blind soldier anymore. But even as a teenager, Lin Fei was headstrong and rebellious. She stormed into the Imperial Army base demanding explanation for my discharge. I had to plead with my superiors to spare her any punishment. I told her we needed to accept our fate, but in that moment I could feel something in her change. How did you carry on? For a year we scrambled to get by. Those were difficult times. And one day she came home with some money and said it was an advance from a family she had met. She said they offered her a job as a maidservant and wanted her to move into their house in the countryside. She was only 16. I didn't want her to go, but she had made up her mind. Do you know who she worked for? No, she didn't say. She said they were very rich and didn't want people to know where they lived. Okay, this is suspicious. This is bad. I have a bad feeling. Every month, she would have someone deliver some money to me. It went on like that for almost 5 years. And then she came back? Yes, almost 2 months ago now. I remember it well because everyone was talking about Consort Wu's rise to the throne, but all I could think about was my daughter's return. She gave me no warning or explanation, but I didn't care. I was just happy to have her back. You said she changed after you lost your military post. How so? She was always a strong and confident girl. Even during quieter moments, I could sense her calming presence. But then she became distant. Her silence had a different sound to it, if you know what I mean. She was no longer at peace. Did she have any friends? No, Lin Fei always preferred to be alone. I think what happened to her mother. She chose the safety of her loneliness over the prospect of loss and pain. 5 years is a long time. Did she seem different after her return? You have to understand, Magistrate D. She was away for almost 5 years. But to answer your question, yes, she was different. She was even stronger than I ever thought possible. Tell me about yourself. I was a patriot once, not unlike you, I imagine. I fought and sacrificed for my country, gave my youth to protect it on the battlefield. Now I'm but a decrepit old man, disposable in the eyes of men like Liu Zilin. You were in the army? I was an Imperial soldier in the Tiger Regiment, until the accident changed everything. Tell me what happened. For the first time in a long time, I was home. They gave me a short break between tours of duty, and I was glad to be back with my wife and daughter. That morning, I had taken Lin Fei for a walk in the park. She was only 5 years old. The sky was blue and pure. I remember looking upon the heavens, thankful and content. Out of nowhere, blackness billowed into the air. I do not know how the fire started. All I know is that by the time we had made our way back, the flames had already engulfed the entire house. But I was fearless back then. I ran inside, hoping to save my wife. But the gods were angry that day. They spared my life, but took my wife, and my eyes. Now I look upon the sky no longer. And your daughter, she witnessed this? We had never spoken about that day. Deep down, I've always hoped that she was too young to remember. 5? Oh, hell yeah, she remembered. But sometimes I could hear in her voice the horror of the flames and the ashes. Take me back to the night of the murder. What can you remember? I remember it perfectly well. Earlier that evening, I had decided to go to the waterfront to take some tea on the boardwalk. It's usually quiet at dusk, so I stayed to enjoy the sunset. People ask me how a blind man can appreciate such a thing. I tell them it's the heat. I can feel the sun's embrace slowly shift on my skin. The sun is pretty hot. Once the warmth is gone, I know it is time to leave. But something strange happened that day. I reached out for my walking stick, which I had placed on the table in front of me, but it wasn't there. I searched for it, even asked the tea house staff for help, but it was gone. You're certain you had it with you? Of course. Without it, I lose my way. I had to convince one of the waiters to escort me home, a nice young man with a kind voice. He said he could help me, but only after he finished his shift, so I waited. About an hour later, he came back and did as he promised. So the waiter took you home. Did he go inside the house? No, we parted ways outside. I entered the house alone. So he didn't even bother to just sit out there and make sure the guy got inside his house? How freaking rude! Whenever you're dropping somebody off at some place, make sure they get inside safely, people. Alright? There have been too many times where things could have, like, the tide could have changed. That's me being metaphorical here. You know, like, seriously, there are too many incidents where somebody drops somebody at their house and doesn't even wait till that person gets inside safely, and then crap hits the gosh darn fan. So rude, not frickin' Dan, man. He's just like, I dropped the old blind man home, and I leave. But anyway, the silence inside bothered me immediately. As I approached the middle of the room, I could feel the wet surface under my feet. I was standing in my daughter's blood. I fell to my knees and extended my arms, reaching out to her. My heart sank when I felt her cold body. I cradled her head in my arms. I vaguely remember calling out for help. I don't know, the rest is hazy. Your daughter's murder was senseless and deeply unsettling. Heaven willing, justice will be done. You have a kind voice, Magistrate D, much like the young man who helped me get home that evening. Like him, I hope you will keep your word. That guy wasn't that kind. Screw that guy. And that's all for now. We'll speak again soon. I can't even like speak straight. So, he wasn't that freaking kind. Let's save this. Okay, so we're going to end this here, but this is the first part of Chapter 1, so we will figure out what is happening later on. I hope you guys enjoy this video, and I can't speak anymore. I will see you wonderful people on, well, I won't actually see you, but a video will be up on Tuesday. So, woo! And when I say Tuesday, I mean on Twitch. Anyway, bye, peeps!